while I may not have done as many album reflections on albums from 2014 that I think have stuck with me around over the years, there is one late in the year release I knew I was going to talk about that dropped out of nowhere and then still hasn't been followed up on since, even though the embracing of older sonic ideas and places it takes the artist's sound are incredibly awesome and interesting. I'm talking about the comeback surprise from 2014 that turned 10 recently by D'Angelo and the Vanguard, Black Messiah. Now, the only era of his that I was really all that familiar with prior to Black Messiah was Voodoo. There are some tracks from there that I had heard growing up, and he's an artist that I had a lot of interest in, given how little he had dropped, but how revered both of his two albums were prior to hearing Black Messiah. And I do plan on talking about his discography, similarly how I have done with artists like Chibomato and Soul Coughing, by doing them in different segments, because they're all very interesting releases. But like, the embracing of old funk ideas throughout Black Messiah is just so fucking awesome. The Vanguard is an incredible backing band to him, and I think that like so much of this is a wonderful melding of ideas. And I like that while it is an interesting blending of funk ideas, a catchiness isn't necessarily lost. It's just also paired with, again, just interesting excursions in D'Angelo fashion. It's an album-ass experience through and through. You know, yeah, I really like the catchy moments like Ain't That Easy. Sugar Daddy is easily one of the best songs of the 2010s, in my opinion. And the Charade and Prayer, for their very heavy delvings into funk, are still pretty damn catchy. That being said, though, that groove on Prayer is just tight as hell. I love the guitar on there and the ambient synths. The same could honestly be said of the sonic palette of the Charade. It's why I talked about those two songs together. But it's also got some really fun album-ass moments, like the Back to the Future 2-piece, which I think as a reprise, the second part is a nice way to sort of help wind the album down. But that first part is dope as hell. The bass groove on that song is just funky as fuck. I love the bass on this project as a whole. If there was ever an album I would want on vinyl so that I can hear it in my setup, I think it would be that. I think the production on this album as a whole is one of the reasons why it's a sort of on-site release for me. I think the bass as a whole does sound very rich and full, you know, and it helps sort of embolden those funk ideas by and large, outside of the, you know, album-ass cuts. It helps carry the dissonance throughout 1,000 Deaths, a sample-filled song that helps channel the attitude of the album, and I think helps as a great early in the album plunge for the listener. But like the way that the guitar settles under Betray My Heart and helps sort of like keep that groove a little lively is so fucking sweet. The same throughout Sugar Daddy, honestly. While that song is 90% piano, bass, and drum relationship, that guitar in there that sort of dances in the background just helps liven up the groove a little bit with some fun dazzle. The harmony work on this album is also just nasty as hell. I love the way D'Angelo sounds on this. He just sounds so fucking in love with what he's doing on this project, and I'm happy to hear it. And that's coming from more than just, like, the Sex Jam stuff. Sure, he knows how to sell that stuff. So, like, Sugar Daddy and Really Love and all that sound fucking choice. And they sound like, you know, that kind of soul stuff that he's known for. But even, like, the stuff outside of that where he's speaking on broader, bigger tragedies and strifes to sort of, like, bridge from where he was to where he may be wanting to aim to be through tracks like the 1,000 Deaths sort of early record plunge that gets sort of like fleshed out more in the Charade after that, or even on like Till It's Done and parts of the Sadness of the Betray My Heart. There's
there's a deeper emotion to this that you can just tell he's happy to be tapping into, and I think he taps into on those tracks so fucking well.
You know, something just like the playful run on the door, or again, just how the layering happens on the opener ain't that easy. It's still infectious. It's just funky as fuck. I love this album. As a lover of funk, you know, we're keeping these 30s funky. That's also one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it this year. You know, it's a funk album that I've held so near and dear over the last 10 years. And I think that, like, I would love to see D'Angelo do more stuff like this as a lover of the sound of this. I think that his love of the genre shines.
While getting its due praise during its time, and when it came time to reflect on albums from the 2010s, it did get its place in the spotlight. It's just one of those albums I don't hear discussed nearly enough for how non-prolific but still artistically excellent D'Angelo is. He just always comes with some choice music, and like Black Messiah is absolutely no exception and should still be like in people's rotations or in the respective conversation, especially given how some of the song topics still feel poignant now, if not more than ever.
It's just one of those sort of like late in the year gems that I still don't think really gets talked about enough. Have you spun this album? Have you not? Let me know your thoughts on Black Messiah in the comments down below. If you did like this look back on a jam, give it a like if you want to see more. Consider subscribing. I drop 2 to 4 vids a week depending on what I've got going on. Next week I'm going to have a similar structure, but I will have a Saturday special next week to help send the year off into the horizons. Either way, thank you guys so very much for watching. I've been Valorek. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.